Hi and welcome to another episode of KILIMO Diaries. My name is Violet Njoki. Well, I know you're wondering why today the set is a little bit different. We're not in a farm or anything like that. It's because we want to understand about the climate situation in the country. And that is why I got an agronomist so that he can be able to tell us with the situations that we have. Sometimes it's way too dry. Sometimes it's flooding. What options do we have as farmers? What are we supposed to grow so that we can know that when this happens, we're safe. When that happens, we're safe. So I'm going to let him introduce himself. Then from there, we can continue the conversation. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Violet. I'm Hira Mwangi Maina. Basically, I'm an agronomist by profession. So working with Oxfam Organic Limited, where we deal with fruit tree seedlings. So which also we help farmers to establish their orchards and also work around mitigating the climate change.
Mm-hmm. So now that we've talked about the climate change, I think that is where our conversation is going to start. So we've experienced drought for a couple of months now, and a lot of farmers shamba zao zinakauka. So when we talk about drought, is it the same as we say when you're kwa arid areas and a country experiencing drought? What is the difference between these two?
So currently, drought is very intensive because we are used to it in the arid areas, yes. But now we are finding it in the highlands, especially in counties like Nyeri, yes. Which I don't think it has been never heard of.
Yeah, people say that central ukiona imekauka, kuna shida.
Kuna shida kabisa. But now what we can do as farmers and actually everyone is to work on ways that we can improve our farming activities, so that we can be able to mitigate or work around the drought.
Mm-hmm. So before you even talk about the solutions to some of these problems that we have missed a couple of harvesting seasons. Is it because we are not ready as farmers or even as a country that when drought hits, chakula yote inakauka? Is it because we are not ready?
So basically, we are not ready, that one I must say, because now you find most of farmers in our country are the small scale farmers. Yes. So, and they don't have the capability to cultivate their lands. So, and also there are other contributing factors such as the lack of inputs, prices also in inputs. You find that most farmers are unable to farm their lands. Yes. So you find at the end of the day, they are not meeting the food required in our country. So that is why we include also food security in that discussion.
So as a country, food security yetu bado haijafika.
We are not yet there.
Considering that you're an agricultural country, we are failing. Yeah,
we are failing because actually when you see, so sometimes as you go raise in Kajiado, so there are very huge pieces of land, yes. But you find they are just dry. Yes. So and those, according to me, they are supposed to be put into production. Yes. So and when such areas are put into production, we can be able to meet our production. Yes. Yes.
So we've talked about the climate change, now the difference between arid areas and a country experiencing drought. We've seen in some of these arid areas like Kajiado, the price of livestock in Africa from 70,000 to 500. Is it because hatukuona ikikuja that our cows are now just dying off? And what are we supposed to do to ensure that even when we come to this position, we can be able to continue with rearing our livestock?
So it's a sad situation to mention because as a farmer, it's you can sell something at let's say 100, 200. So it's much very worrying. So and to counteract that, you ask about whether you are ready. Yes. So these things, they have been happening throughout in various seasons, yes. But now no actions have been taken. Yes. Let's say we have the policies, but implementation has not taken place. Yes. Because if you go to those areas, you find there, let's say the water pans. Yes. They are being dug maybe by the county government, yes. But now after several times or after a duration, you find the water pans just dried, and nobody cared whether to implement the policy. Where can we get a source of water, yes. To feed these people for their cows, yes. Or livestock? Yes.
So with those arid areas, you as an agronomist who gives advice on fruit farming as well, yes, yes. Areas that are arid, are they suitable for fruits such that we can, because I know a lot of fruits take a longer time to mature than kawaida crops. Do you think that arid areas can also pick up the notion of let's grow fruits? As much as they take a longer time, it can help in the long run.
So basically, those areas are very productive per se.
Oh, they are?
They are very productive. Even maybe when you visit some areas, you find someone with a little portion with irrigation water doing his cropping, and is getting, let's say, sukuma wiki from that area. So what I think is lacking in those areas is resources, support from government, and also finances. Because if those people are supported, let's say with irrigation water, those people can produce a lot of food. So in terms of fruit production, there are fruits which do well in those asals or arid and semi-arid areas. So giving an example of Machakos, we have orange family. Let's say mainly we have these orange pixie oranges.
Yeah, the pigs, they are quite sweet.
Yeah, they are very sweet actually. So it is able to resist the drought in the area. So if you support those people with the irrigation, they can be able to grow such types of fruits. We have the oranges. We have another fruit we call pomegranate. So we have grapes. I think we are importing grapes from other countries. So if we grow our own, we can be a step ahead.
Yes.
So those are kind of fruits they can plant in those areas.
And these arid, semi-arid are quite good for such.
Yes. So when you follow the right procedures, in farming, we usually say when you want to do farming, you don't just start blindly.
Yes.
So we usually recommend for a soil test, so we know what is in your soil. So the recommendation given, when you implement the recommendations, then from there you are good to go. And I said earlier, those places are very productive and you can get a lot of food.
Yes. And we see that in the dry areas, or even when there's drought, only the trees that actually pop up viraisini, like the acacia trees.
Yes.
Are there trees that we can go for that they can help in our climatic situation? And tunasema even if kukose kunyesha, these trees will help with the environmental conservation.
Yes, sure. So we have a term we call agroecology. So this refers to where you grow plants in existence with people and also animals.
Yes.
So and you ask about the trees, indigenous trees which can do well in those areas.
Yes.
For example, we have a tree we call moringa. So it's called moringa.
Moringa kama ile tunakunywa moringa.
Aloe yeah, that one. So also it has other benefits, so health benefits and the rest. So we have also the acacia tree species, so that produce gum. So when that gum is harvested, it can be able to make other products. So you find those communities in those arid areas, they can also benefit from such activities and such trees also.
You can say that it's because we do not have the knowledge. That is why when these seasons come, we are suffering.
We are suffering.
Wow. So for areas like now, we are saying that even Central is experiencing drought. Are there crops that farmers can go for yenye ata jua iwake aje? At least you know you'll be safe when it comes to food security.
Yes. So that one, we have crop resistant varieties. We want to thank Caro. So they usually on toes to develop varieties that do well in drought areas. For example, we have cassavas developed by Caro. So when the farmers plant in those areas, it is drought resistance. So with such varieties, you find that they do well. Again, let's say in arid, semi-arid areas, crops like sorghum, green grams, so millet, you find farmers also, they are resistant to drought. And when they plant, they can get their harvests.
And when we say a crop is drought resistant, what exactly do you mean? Your farmers iseme hii tunapanda leo na ita grow itakuwa sawa.
So basically when we talk about drought resistance, so it has been bred in a way it's able, for example, the root system is able to go deeper for water or the moisture, so that it keeps maintaining its vigor. So it survives even when it's very hot. Yes.
So when we talk about these crops that are drought resistant, at some point we may need a bit of irrigation. For this, as a country, even for the arid and the semi-arid areas, is it that we have not learned the action of harvesting rainwater, or kukiwa na mvua tunasema tu wacha mvua ipite sasa tusonge?
So basically I can say farmers have been ignorant in a way. So because when it's dry, you find farmers complaining, oh, it's very hot, it's very hot. Yet again, when the rain comes, it's start flooding.
Yes.
So things are destroyed and nothing happens. The farmers will say, mvua imekuja ime flood, but they didn't harvest the water.
Yes.
So this action and implementation is what we are talking about. If, let's say, a farmer is in the highlands, his farm is just down there, we can be able to, maybe he can establish a reservoir where the water from the highlands, when it comes, it can be able to collect that water.
Yes.
So with such actions, you can find farmers benefiting from those activities.
Well, Hiram has told us that as a country we need to learn the art of water harvesting, because this is something that will help us, considering we've missed 4. This is the 5th harvesting season that we've missed. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to understand when it comes now to flooding, considering we've seen some areas kumeanza kunyesha. When it comes to flooding, how do we mitigate this situation to ensure that even after the rains are done, we're still good to go? We're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Authentic, natural, planned. Transforming. Endless benefits. Slaty, purely Kenyan. Buy now on Jumia or Amazon.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
My name is Njeki, and I'm joined by Hiram, is an agronomist from Oxfam, and today we are seated because our discussion is understanding drought and flood, when there's drought and when there's floods. What are we supposed to do as farmers to ensure that we're safe? Kukikauka sana, this is what to do. Kukinyesha sana, this is what to do. And Hiram has told us that as a country we are failing in water harvesting. What are the steps that we need to take, considering at some point we may rely on the government, yes, but we may also need to fend for ourselves? As a farmer, what am I supposed to do to ensure that kukinyesha, I am safe? Do I need to dig a borehole at my farm, or what are the steps I should take to ensure that kukiwa na kiangazi niko na maji ya pipes, kukinyesha, I'm still safe?
Yeah, for that question, as a farmer, you must be able to look for solutions. So, and as I said earlier, those farmers usually complain that there is no rains, no enough water. So, number one step to counter that challenge is to have water storage facilities, be it a tank, be it a reservoir, be it an underground tank. So that when the rains are gone, you can have some water to irrigate your crops.
Yeah.
So number two, we usually say it's not good always to blame the government.
Yes.
So the government is me and you.
Yes.
So and this issue usually revolve it around climate change. So if you don't plant trees or those activities that will enable to sustain our environment, we'll continue suffering. Because remember, when you cut down trees, you are destroying the mother nature.
Yes.
So, and one day mother nature will come back to you.
Yes.
So it's upon us, we embrace tree planting, ranging from fruit trees, indigenous trees, and also other crops so that you can be able to get enough food from that.
Yes. So as a farmer, you're also advising that if you have your farm, it is good to, hata kama ni the edges, unapanda miti.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are there trees that we know that hata ukipanda, they will not, there are sometimes you say when you're intercropping, there are crops that will kill others.
Yes.
When it comes to the tree planting, are there trees that you would advise as an agronomist that this will be the best, they will go with all types of crops?
So basically, you find that as you are very correct. There are trees that will not survive with other trees. They just kill them through maybe as they extract water from because they are competing actually. So and the best option that we usually recommend is to have fruit trees in your orchard, because when you have fruit trees, we usually call it an orchard which has different types of fruits. So fruits are usually done at a larger spacing, let's say 5 by 5 meters, 4 by 5. You can utilize the space in between by intercropping. Let's say short-term crops, beans, we usually call the Fabaceae family. So and also beans, they help in treating the soil, fixing nitrogen and the likes. So for other trees, indigenous trees, we recommend you can do them at the border of your farm. So and also if you have a huge farm or a large farm, you can set aside a separate area where you can do the indigenous. You have like an indigenous forest. Because you have more advantages. You are preserving the biodiversity and also helping the environment. Yes.
So when we talk about the irrigation of our crops, during the drought season, most people say atumwagili maji kwa sababu hatujui maji kama ita sustain all through. What irrigation should we go for when considering that I've been able to harvest my water, but I want it to last through this period that there is drought?
Yes.
What are the options that I have?
So basically, terming irrigation, we usually have a term we call precision agriculture. So you find that there are companies which provide precision agriculture. They have a system that monitors crop water requirements. So when you have that system, the system will be able to gather the data. They call it cloud. I'm not an IT expert, but that data will be able to tell you your crop needs water at this time and how much or any amount of water. So the system can be able to dispatch. With such kind of system, you can be able to utilize the water that you have and use it on a longer duration. So if you are a farmer and you are not be able to meet that, you have drip irrigation. So which also as Oxfam, we can help also as work out for that and help you to set up the drip irrigation so that you can have efficiency in your water or irrigation.
Yes. So when we talk about the irrigation, there are farmers that, let me say, we rely on the meteorological department that in the season ya mvua, long rains, short rains, so this is what to plant at that time. But this year imekuwa a bit different because they may say next week kunanyesha kukosa kunyesha. As a farmer, how are you supposed to be able to learn to read the climatic conditions without having to rely on the Met department?
So basically, as I said earlier, you find most of our farmers are small-scale farmers. So and when it comes to technology, they don't meet or be able to access those maybe their results or the predictions, but they don't know how to access them. So what I think we can do at the local level, we have experts or people who can be able to interpret the data to the farmers and tell them this is what we are going to have, but and also interpret the data in terms of whether there will be rain or no rain. But in advance, the farmer should be prepared. If let's say there's no rain, what will I do? So and those activities, you have listed them as water harvesting, and the likes of that.
Yes. So we've seen that even as we've experienced drought for a couple of months now, kumeanza kunyesha in other areas. Do you think as a country we are ready for these drastic changes as farmers that tunasema leo unajua ni kiangazi lakini kesho mvua yenyewe inanyesha inakupata unashangaa? Do you think we are ready even as farmers?
So basically, I don't think we are ready. And if we have those water pans, they are not enough. So even when it floods, the water will just go to waste. So what I can advise is that the local agents or the local governments be able to do more in terms of water harvesting and storage, so that we don't experience water losses. Yes.
So as an agronomist, do you think that we need to call farmers and teach them on the basics of having to survive through these drastic conditions, drastic changes when it comes to drought and floods? Do you think that we need to sit down and farmers waambiwe hii ndio unafaa kujua, hii ndio unafaa kupanga?
Yes. So as agronomists or extension officers, we have a bigger role to play. So recently we saw Mr. Aaron Nanok from Turkana County. He's an agronomist. he received an award in the county because he is able to put together the information required by farmers and what they will do when it gets when the drought they are facing, how they can come across the challenge. So we as agronomists, we are supposed to teach our farmers on good agricultural practices so that we can be able to achieve our food production. Yes.
So even as we teach this to the farmers, what are the steps that we need to take to ensure that, because farmers need to tumeshikilia the backbone, what are the steps that we need to take to ensure that there's food security in the country?
So one is through training, so advising on good crop management, advising on better varieties which will perform in those different regions, and also at the end of the day we give them an avenue or the market for their produce, so that they can also benefit financially.
You've talked about crop management. What does that entail? So
basically, as I stated in an area, you can start with, let's say, soil testing. So let's say you have a specific crop. How are you going to manage that crop until you harvest? So that is from planting, how you are supposed to fertilize, how you are supposed to irrigate, and also how you are supposed to top dress, let's say, to get this quality of your produce. So, and also we have, for example, in fruit trees, with the activities like pruning. In avocado, you have to prune for you to attain this kind of shape or productivity. Yes, such activities.
So we need to understand what we need from the soil to the crops to the output. So do you think that even as we face these challenges of droughts and floods, that the output that if we learn this crop management, that our output will be good enough even for export?
Yes. So exactly, because we find that the output is what matters a lot. So something like, let's say, in maize production, so if you don't invest wisely, you find that the output is less than what you invested. So, and this comes again with, let's say, the cost of production, let's say the fertilizers, the pesticides, and the likes. So we must be able to use those activities that are able to minimize the cost of production and also maximize on output.
Yes. Now let's talk a bit about the livestock, caring for the livestock. We've seen venye bei zinapungua zikicheza, and I've seen a lot of people are now growing the hay, like in the lines of Central, a lot of people are selling the hay. Do you think that even those people in the arid and the semi-arid areas should adapt to this growing of hay, considering that we do not know at what point drought will come into the country?
Yes. So that one is that is a mitigation factor also, because you find that when it gets dry in those areas, the cows they have nothing to feed. They just depend on thorns from the forest or where they are grazing. So it's good as the nomadic communities to embrace hay farming, which also should be supported by those animal production experts, so that they can tell them the benefits of this hay and how their animals will benefit. Yes.
So when hay is recommended for tuseme tu countrywide, it's good.
Basically, it's good. It's countrywide because it's you can't categorize in terms of animals in the arid and animals in the let's say in central Kenya. All of them need the nutrients from the hay. So we are all going for a common factor, the benefit from the hay. That is nutrition wise. Yes.
So even as we wind up, from the perspective of an agronomist, I would like you to give an advice when it comes to farmers. What should you do when it comes to drought, and what should you do when it comes to floods to ensure that you're safe during both seasons?
So basically, to give a remedy, let's say on drought. So most farmers should apply the activities. Let's say one is water harvesting. So number two, they should form groups. They are usually called them community-based organization, or the CBOs. So when you're in those groups, you are able to identify or note what is happening within the community and how you can tackle various issues. Number two is call also upon the government to implement those policies which can help our farmers. So again, also training is supposed to be there. We can have more experts deployed to the ground so that our farmers can benefit. So when it comes to flooding, it's I would also recommend the issue of hot water. That's the main issue.
Yes.
So we must be able to harvest our water, because so that we can be able to be sustainable in crop production. So again, when we talk about flooding, our farmers don't need to complain a lot because unasikia amesema mvua imekuja but imebeba kila
kitu,
beba mifugo and the likes. So I think also to add on flooding in those areas, mostly in the asals, you find that it carries the livestock, the everything. So we can have a control measure. Let's say the number of herds those people keep, so or subdivide. So they should not be able be in one area, so that when it rains, not every flock or the herd of cattle are destroyed. So there is a way we can be able to manage the livestock.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Hiram, for your advice, and I'm hoping that farmers can actually take this advice and ensure that, because hatujui what next season holds. Thank you so much. Well, guys, you've heard from the agronomist himself. Hiram has told us if there's something that we need to capture as much is water harvesting, because it will save us when it comes to drought and it will save us when it comes to floods. Hakuna in between. Well, guys, that is all we had for you here today